Welcome back, everyone. Today is a very special episode. I'm bringing the roundtable back, and I could not be more excited about the women sitting in this circle with me. I'm joined by Alicia Isaacs Howes, Melanie Ramone, and Dr. Melanie Falvey. Alicia, I've known for over a decade, and both Melanies came into my life last year, and I'm forever grateful. There is no shortage of guides, teachers, or frameworks out there for how to live a meaningful life. But what we have here today is something different. Three women who haven't just studied the path, they've walked it, who've done the inner work, honed their craft, and kept asking the big questions with radical honesty and deep curiosity. Because here's what we all know to be true: this is not a dress rehearsal. We're here to live out loud, without remorse, without regret, free from the distortions, and fully awake to what we are actually here to do in this lifetime. I'm so honored to introduce these three remarkable, powerful, soulful women to you today. See you in the episode. Welcome back to Mystical Sisterhood. This is your host, Maureen Spielman. And I'm really, really, really excited to be holding a roundtable. I think it's the third one in the history of Mystical Sisterhood. And this is going to be airing right after the summer solstice, which is going to be on Sunday, June 21st. And I've decided to play this on the 24th because I feel like there's going to be a lot of beautiful energy then. And the messages that come through just within days of us reaching that solstice point mid-year will be very, I don't know, prosperous for us. And also, I reflected on the group of women here with me today. I will just name them one by one, and I'm going to say a few things about them. But we've got Alicia Isaacs Howes, whom, if you're a listener that's been around here for a while, you know that Alicia and I have known each other for, I think, 15 or so years now. And as the beauty of the universe would have it, is she and I have always been highly connected. And she introduced me just over a year ago, I want to say like even in March, to Melanie Ramone, who will go by Mel today. But Mel lives in the Netherlands. She is born and raised in Mexico and has really lived all over the world. And if I get to saying professionally about these women too, which I will, but I just want to first talk about these through lines and how we're threaded together. And I think through Alicia, then Mel, she offered a mastermind last summer. And I pretty much always know more or less when something is for me and when it's not so much for me. And when Mel offered this beautiful new space talking about our wholeness and our sovereignty, I'm like, okay, I want to see what she's up to. And I think it was like a little bit of a trust fall, but I trust Alicia so much that I went there. And in that space, I met Dr. Melanie Falvey. And Melanie was on the podcast for episode 151. We talked about visibility and vision. And I can't say enough about these three women. And as I was preparing questions for our space today, which we'll get to, I realized that they were women that have been on a path of their, of course, of their, this is obvious, of their own evolution. But what they're currently up to has been deeply, deeply connected to what they've been up to for, I'm going to say, the last, I'm just going to pick the number 25 years, because I think that's with Alicia. I know that that's when your work really started to come online around the Akashic Records. Mel, you started out in the fashion industry. You went on to be just the top of your game within the wedding industry. And it's really cool because I think what we're bringing forth is a lot of soul work, a lot of spiritual work that's embedded in our humanness. And Melanie Falvey, I mean, you're just spectacular, because when I was thinking about you in preparation, the multidimensionality of you is so exceptional. But that bleeds over to Mel and Alicia too, because the body of work starts with one thing and then it just expands outward. And maybe in the past we defined ourselves in one way, but then we uncovered all these different modalities or off ramps that we were so passionate about or really caught our eye, but then they became like really important in the work that we do. So I think I might just keep it at that. I mean, Alicia, I think when I looked at the episodes with you, you've been on 3 independent episodes, starting with the Akashic Records in episode 7, to Financial Flow, to most recently entering into this year of 2026 and what's here for us. So I'm going to say welcome to you first, and just welcome you into the space and say thank you for being here.
Thank you. This is not just an honor, it's a joy. And I just want to giggle a little bit right now, just seeing you all here. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. 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 And thank you. When we say like, okay, because when I think about Mystical Sisterhood, and I think about all the points on the map and all the people that are connected. And when I go over to you, Mel Ramone, and, think about like that, we touch each other's lives, and then the offshoots just are exponential in all these different ways. And then it's like, how sometimes you can put a pin on a map, but then like all the threads that can come off of that. And right now, I mean, it's the web that's being woven, and the tapestry, it's very thick with all the threads. And so I welcome you here with all of your, I use the word brilliance and expertise, and just joy and fun and laughter and zest for life. And I just say welcome to you.
I'm super, super stoked to be here. Like, really, I adore all of you. And so I am overjoyed to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And Melanie Falvey, thank you for joining
Definitely, I
here.
can only add to that. I mean, this
Yeah.
is so exciting. I absolutely adore you all, ladies. I admire you. I respect you. I'm in awe every time we come together because you're just so wise. So I'm just here to learn from you, actually. You can just go on and speak. I'll just listen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was even, as I thought of beginning questions, and I was saying like things were just coming to me this morning. Some was around bringing our magic online. And I think that each of you in your own way, I saw threads with Mel Ramone. I think all 3 of you are working with the people who come to you and seeing in them, in a sense, and helping pull out, like Mel Ramone. I mean, we can start with like the magic that you bring around seeing into people's architecture and seeing into the things that other guides or mentors or coaches we've hired, we've done all this surface work, but you are able to like see within the woman or gentleman who comes to you and decode. I love the words you use in your work, is decoding distortions, seeing the architecture, and I believe the blueprint of what someone can't see. And it's an incredible ability, I think, that you have, that you've been willing to bring forward more and more and more. And if someone revisited even the 2 episodes we've done together, that's what I was thinking too about the 3 of you, is Melanie Falvey, you've only been on once, but I think that when we listen to the recordings, even from months ago, we can see how we've grown by leaps and bounds. That's an amazing thing. Mel Ramone, I'll start with you, but I think like just if I were to say that, like this idea of bringing our magic online and alive in 2026, where we are in this point in time, what is here for us to know about that? And is that only for a few, or how do you see the vision of what's possible?
Well, you know me, Maureen. I do truly believe that everything is possible, and that we have like gazillion possibilities, each of us. What I do see is that thankfully, I'm very excited about this actually. With the AI coming in, that is actually, I believe that it's helping us to develop our critical thinking, but also at the same time, and I'm the paradox girl, at the same time, it's taking some people out of their own creativity. So what I see is that because of that, what will make the difference for each and every single one of us is our authenticity, but our raw authenticity, not the performing authenticity as per following a blueprint or a framework that somebody else gave us. So what I see is more courage and more pushing us to be sovereign, to be free, like the real free will, without the unconscious patterns that just guide us and do things automatically like robots. But like, who am I really? What do I do specifically? Like Dr. Mel, she and I, we were so amazed at each other because we followed almost the same path. We studied the same things, and we even did the same things like wedding design and wedding planning and all that stuff. So it was like, if you compare our paths, it's like almost the same, right? But when we see into what we bring to the world, it's
Mhm.
completely different. So I think that is what is coming up for everybody on, like, now, and it's pushing everybody to be like, hey, don't be some random thing, just like be curious about yourself, like what is it, your magic, your precise magic. And I am effing crazy about that. Like, I'm super stoked.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I love how you started out with that kind of the delineation between and the paradox of what new tools are coming online. And AI's got this big, it's its own thing. And then there's all these other modalities and tools. But even on the path of discerning, like, oh, okay, how could that be for us as a collective, for us individually, for us as a collective? So that's super fascinating. Thanks for pointing that out. And I think you're right. The ideas of the authenticity and your essence and your expression being why we're here, it's part of what we're up to. And so you're helping support those who come to you, whether in groups or individually, to really, I think, I use the word seriously, kind of funnily, is that to take themselves really seriously. Like, wow, we have this opportunity to come alive and show of ourselves and have fun.
Both. Again, I'm the paradox lady or whatever you want to call me, but I think both are true. Like, yeah, don't take yourself so seriously and take yourself so seriously. Like, both at the same time are there for us, like anti-ego and pro-sovereignty at the same time. Like, it's not about you, but it is also about you. Like, in business and in expression and in authenticity and sovereignty, it's always both at the same time, although they seem contradictory, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
both true at the same time.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's a great place to start. I'll go to you, Alicia. Like, what are you seeing and with how the work that you're doing and the invitation for the coming forward of the true self, or however you refer to that?
This is so funny because I was on my walk this morning, and what I was getting was, it's about being authentic, being your true self, letting go of anything that isn't. Anything you can let go of isn't you. If you can let go of it, it isn't you. So what's left when you let go of everything? And so, yeah, I love what we're exploring here, because we haven't yet fully understood just how powerful we are, and the ability to create, to innovate, to change. That is where our power is. And we have to make choices, right? To what are we going to create? What are we going to change? And I think that is where we are right now in humanity, is like really going, is that what I really want to create? Is that how I want to live? And we're asking questions and making different choices. And I am seeing that at many different levels, whether somebody calls themselves like awake or aware, whatever it might be. Like, we're all questioning to some degree, is this how I want to live? Is this the legacy I want to leave? And it's a very, very exciting time. So
I love that. And before we recorded, Melanie, you had said being the lighthouse and being that beacon. And so I think, piggybacking on what Alicia is saying is like, how do you see that? And I said, you're so multidimensional. You're kind of with the magnetic speaker method or the new modality around nervous system recalibration. What are you seeing in terms of the rising of the authentic voice and the people coming through your channels, and what are they up to, and what new like awakenings are you seeing?
Well, I think right now we have the most fascinating opportunity to, again, tap into real, raw authenticity. I often say, like, in a world of replicas, be authentic, but be truly authentic. And to be able to be authentic, you need to really go deep and know yourself. And one thing I'm enjoying about Mel Ramone's mastermind is how she's not teaching, because she doesn't teach, but she is setting the path so we can go within and really find that authenticity. Because before the mastermind, and I just want to say this because it's so true. Before the mastermind, I already thought I knew myself. I've been working on myself forever, and I'm,
Yeah.
very analytic, and I like to know the whys and why am I doing this and what this behavior, where is it coming from, and blah 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 blah. And then I thought, no, actually, I was just very surface level for me, which might be deeper than for other people, but it is so scary on the one hand, but it is so fascinating to get to know that person, that soul that's living in this body. And to
Right.
me, we are reaching the point where there's going to be, and it's happening so fast with AI and with all the changes in the world, there's going to be two distinct types of people. And I don't want to say that one type is going to be left behind, but the only thing that's going to allow us to survive as humans is precisely that, being human, tapping into the creativity. And Maureen, you were saying I'm multidimensional. I believe we all are. We are all born with interest, curiosity. We like different things, but
Yeah.
through the journey of life, we are made to fit in a box. And to be a rebel means to come out of the box and say, no, I don't want to be in a box. I want to do everything I am, because everything we do is part of who we are. So just, being authentic, knowing ourselves, becoming critical thinkers. And I love what Mel Ramone said about AI. There is that danger of confirming and being very comfortable with whatever ChatGPT Claude tells us, because they do like to say the right thing. They're a person pleaser. But if we're able to go beyond that and really learn how to use it to tap into all our dimensions and, everything, we have a good side, a bad side, and in between. And if we're really able to use AI for that purpose, it's going to be amazing. If we just stay on surface level, we're just going to get stuck as humans. And I don't want that.
Well said. Mel Ramone, what's coming to your mind?
I love what Dr. Mel said, because I think, that I have this vision, philosophy, whatever you want to call it, that we either are capturable or not. Either we live in our sovereignty or we don't. So we get imprisoned. And what Dr. Melanie just said, it's like bling, 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 like bang, because you're giving away your power to AI, and then you're captured by it because you think that AI is right over you, and then you hand your power away. Whether if you want to call it rebel, or you want to call yourself sovereign in your own thoughts, then you counter, I'm going to say attack, because I don't know what else to use, but I talk to my AI like, that's bullshit. That's not, like, no, that you got confused. Like, I talk to my AI as if I am thinking with a thinking partner. And then I treat him as that, and I don't allow him to think for me.
Yeah.
And that is the difference. Whether you're captured by it and you allow yourself to be in it, or you're like, no, this is my angle and I want to flow with it, which is the same as in life. Either life is happening for you or life is happening to you. Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. I think also when Dr. Melanie had said about your mastermind that you've been, this in its second iteration for me this year. But, when I was thinking about my questions today, I really thought about the three of you and how you have been doing what you do in whatever form it is for years and years and years and years, right? And it's evolving and it's growing and it's changing and all the good things. But you continue to lean into a sisterhood or a support system and keep seeking. And Alicia, I'll start with you with that. What is it in you that drives you to keep seeking and know that that's an important part of your growth?
I think it's the whole point of being here, is the curiosity and the expansion. that life is about love in full expansion. So it's about where else, what else, how else, can I grow, learn? And I know that even though I live with myself 24/7, I don't know myself as deep as I would like to. I know there's more. And that's what I've learned, in the mastermind and in my personal relationships with you. Like, each of you have shared with me a reflection of something where I haven't seen myself or understood something or held something in a certain way in a certain story, and helped me change the story. And I was thinking, actually, again, on my walk this morning, how some people tend to put women like us on a pedestal, because we've done something they haven't done, but they want to, or they see something in us that reflects something that's in them too, and they haven't yet embraced or allowed to flourish. And we're all, in different ways, we're experts in certain areas and we're beginners or novices in others. But no matter what level we are, what depth of understanding we have in any area of our life, there is always more to learn. There is always more that we haven't yet discovered or understood. And for me, it's important that I'm not doing that on my own. Yes, I'm the one who decides I'm going to do this, I'm going to not do that. But I don't want to do it on my own. I love the collaboration that we have. It's a love, it's a respect, it's a deep honoring that allows me, and in many groups, I've not felt safe. And so this is a place where I do feel safe. And I think that's a part of what is changing in the world, is realizing that, yes, it's that paradox that Mel was talking about earlier. Like, yeah, we're the only ones who can decide, who can do, who can take action or not. And we don't have to do it on our own. We're in this together. And collaboration for me is fuel. It allows me to feel energized and to laugh, to collaborate. Like, to me, it's the connections. It's knowing that we are individuals and that we are connected, and learning how to work with that and explore that in new and bolder ways.
I would like to add the contrary of that, because all what Alicia said, it's true. We are primally seeking connection, but we are also sovereign enough to say, like, this group feels off. I don't feel connected to this group, and choose you and say, it has nothing to do with the group or whatever, or what they're doing. It's just like, it's not a match, and you can walk away. That's the spectrum that I would add. Yeah.
And is part of that perspective and experiences you've had that have taught you that?
Yes, of course. Yes, because I stayed in too many places where I didn't want to, and I was like, I don't like these rules, or I don't like this behavior, or I don't like da. And then, the crazy experience that I had in 2024, it's 2 years. Oh my God, it's 2 years. But it's like, yeah, for my safety and for, my liberation of myself, it's like, if I want to belong to myself, I shall not belong to the group and walk away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to add also, like, I've usually been on the other side. I usually facilitate the group, and I absolutely love it, but it's so different because it's just a different energy, different dynamics. And here we are held, but we're not held in a codependent way, but the space is so safe. And I know we throw around the term safe spaces as if every space was safe. And I know very well, I've been part of many groups, even like big organizations, and they were not safe. The minute I see that, I just leave, obviously. But it is not so common to find this kind of group.
Mm-hmm.
This is a real sisterhood. And of course, Maureen, with the work you do, you also create safe spaces for women. But it's not as common as people may think.
Yeah.
They just use the term, but then when you're in the group, you're like, ooh, something feels off. But this is true sisterhood.
Yes. Yes. And thank you for saying that about something feels off. because I know within the work that we do collectively, and is a lot of talk about when something feels off, listen to the body, listen to what is being communicated through your body. That is coming online big time for sure. And, it's sometimes interesting because I think conversations sort of start in back rooms and we're having them to the side, but we can see, obviously, I think in the work that we do here, we're seeing it in our feeds and everything. But I always like to respect the fact that it is really coming online. So, like, if I speak to someone and they know about Gabor Mate, or they know, about The Body Keeps the Score, that's cool because I'm like, okay, they're just kind of like a person walking through life and they've heard about these people. So Mel Ramone, start with where you want to about this importance or whatever's coming to you around our body.
Well, what came to mind right now was the talk about safe spaces, that it's very linked and related to what we were talking at the beginning of the conversation about our authenticity and being the raw of us. Most of us, and I'm getting goosebumps, would not dare to be the raw of them because they fear the backlash. In a cancel culture, like, what if I say something wrong? Or what if I say something that somebody's not going to like and then they're going to backlash at me? Or that somewhere in the way they perceive that being themselves, the raw of themselves, was not safe, not professional, not well taken. Even there are studies, like if you see studies, there's one that says that women can earn, I don't know how much percent more, just by the fact of putting makeup and dressing well. Which is ridiculous, because that then says that if you're not putting makeup, then you're not allowed to earn more money. And I think right now in 2026 and forward, it's like, you can be whoever you want and earn gazillion of money. Like, it can happen. It doesn't need to follow those rules, but your own. So I think it's related, the safety that the safety that you feel inside your body, and the spaces where it's safe for you to express authentically and raw, and then have your own sovereignty intact, like very rooted in yourself. Like, even if you're not accepted, you're like, yeah, but this is me, and I prefer to not be liked in this group than to betray myself or not belong to myself. So that's, I think it's very
Right. Yes. Yeah. And when we feel, it makes me think of, I won't go into details, but the other night I had a dream that really was an exposure dream, it felt like, where I had, in my daytime reality, shared with a new group. And the night in my dreams, I was incredibly, like, intimately exposed up close and personal. And I just woke up and I was like, whoa, that was a crazy dream. But along that thread of, like, the safety and myself communicating with me about what was being unearthed, is we get messages like that all the time, right? Because Mel Ramone, you always say, like, I go into the subconscious. I go because there's just so much, there's gold there, there's information. And I think we're all working with it. But I find that just the fascinating part of the process, like something that came up for me. I didn't feel it in the moment. Well, I guess that's wrong, because my body did feel physically sick. There was a lot coming out in the moment of the share, but then the intelligence of me gave me more information for me to ponder.
body always knows first. Always. Trust your body. Always.
Yeah. Mel, that makes me think of you. And because you and I are getting to know each other, and I'm getting to know your body of work more and more, but then you have all this beautiful
What
work.
am I?
Yeah. But you have all this beautiful work, and then you've gone in this direction of the body and of this nervous system calibration. And the session you did with me was so beautiful, and I think released in me what I couldn't even put into words. But what led you in that direction of, I mean, you have expert channel TV, you've got, bringing speakers' voices to life. And then was that an all of the sudden or a gradual where that work started to come online?
No, it's so funny. I don't usually sit and think about those things, but it's something I've always done. I started studying neuroscience probably over 20 something years ago. So it's always something I've done. I then used it myself, on myself, many, many years ago. And I always like to say that I become my best testimonial for any of the work I then, help others with. I've always used it, but never actually created a solo program that is only based on neuroscience and nervous system regulation. It was part of the magnetic speaker, part of the, whenever I was teaching, it's always been embedded and infused into everything, but now it's just a standalone process. And I think it came about because I was seeing so much misinformation. It's a bit, when I created Expert Channel TV, there were two reasons behind that. One was people going through my system to become camera confident. I wanted to give them like a real life scenario, like what is more real than a TV channel. So that was like a continuation to the work they were doing, but also because it was the beginning. This was 2019. It was the beginning, well, probably not the beginning, but it was when it became like really, really big, like fake news and misinformation. And I've always been obsessed, I will say, about critical thinking. And I grew up in a household where my parents would buy 4 newspapers. And whenever we had a question, they would say, look at all sides of the story. And that's how I grew up. If we had questions, we would say, we had a wonderful library, and they would say, okay, read this, 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 this. And it was always different perspectives, different angles. And that, at the time, I didn't really value it. I just thought everyone did that. But then with Expert Channel TV, it was like, oh my goodness, we can bring people together with different perspectives and really give them a voice. But if they were not regulated from the start, that voice would be distorted and it would still be misinformation. So in order for you to become, like, again, the lighthouse, the coherent voice, you need to be regulated. So it's really the foundation of everything. But it's now become a thing on its own because I was seeing so much misinformation on social media, like, this is the nervous system, do this, do that. And it's just, it's not going to be dangerous because in the end, you're just breathing and doing things that are not going to be dangerous. But it's just the wrong information, misinformation.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Ooh, that's a really cool evolution of how that came to be. And you're talking about you were picking up on voice distortion. Alicia, I'll go to you. Mel, I also like how you were just talking about the library of resource you had, because then that led me to Alicia. And when I think about, Alicia, the thing that's your foundational specialty was the Akashic Records. And I think sometimes when I read these days, like, oh, the Akasha being the library. So you have been pulling from a different sort of library as you've gone along too. I don't know. It just, whatever comes to mind with that, and anything that you might want, because I think it's important to point out, how we've become, I don't want to say become distorted, how we've developed distortions about who we are. And I know you speak to that a lot. So
Yes. Yeah. I used to think that the records were something, above me in a high vibration and a little bit distance. And I had to kind of get all kind of, woo in order to enter that space. And what I've come to realize is that we're never not in the records. We're the ones writing the records, and that they are there for us to, as Mel was saying, Dr. Mel was saying, like, for reference, to get into coherence, to get information, for clarity in certain ways, to look at things from a different perspective. But they don't have any power over us. They're not, we can actually, when we do what we call healing, we're actually rewriting our own experience of an event or a circumstance. We're kind of creating a new perspective or a wider perspective. And what I've actually experienced through the work is that when we look at what we think is another lifetime and we rewrite or retune it, it actually has, it has a ripple effect through all the different timelines, through all the different lifetimes, including our own current consciousness. And so we're always in this space of pure creation. And I think that's part of it. If what we're doing right now is we're remembering that we are the ones who create, that we are the ones who have free will, and that, yeah, we've got all these things, external reflections around us, but we are the ones who get to change what we are putting out there in the world, and then what is reflected back to us and how we will respond to that. So I've been on my own evolution with the records and my relationship with the records, and then what I call the Akashic field, the infinite field, the source creation energy. And it's been quite fascinating. Like the last 2 or 3 years, I've been like, wow. In fact, so much so that I'm recreating, refreshing everything that I've created in terms of teachings. Yeah.
Is there a permission that one needs to grant oneself in order to allow ourselves to change, to take on new identities, to, you know, because what I see in the three of you, and the work that we do within the mastermind with Mel Ramone, is this, because I revisited websites this morning and I can see morphing and changing all the time. So I can see that you have been, I think, collectively giving yourselves permission to tweak and change and delve further and launch a different way again, and put something out and then retract it and make it better and replace it, like all these things. But I don't know if that, so I'm seeing you're giving yourself a lot of permission to do that over and over again. And I don't know if in the collective that permission is always given to ourselves, if that, you know.
Wow, that's fascinating. I don't know if we give ourselves permission, we make a choice, but I think it's the choice to change. And to know that, you know, what we do in a certain moment or a certain time in our life is what's right, what's best, and what is our best at that time. But that doesn't mean to say it's like, that's it, we're done. We're always evolving, we're always learning, we're always growing. And so giving ourselves permission to change.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
And that reminds me, you know, long ago you would say, every day is a choice. Every day I wake up and there's a choice. I make that choice. And that's reminiscent of something that you've said to me in the past. So
yes, yeah. Every moment. But I imagine that might have sparked something. I can feel like,
yeah. Mel Ramone, what do you want to say?
She knows me. Yeah, I think that you doubt it, and there's a good reason why you doubt it, because I don't think we need permission. We are the permission, so there's no permission needed. If I know that I am evolving and that I'm changing my point of view, or because I have more flight hours, and that can happen like in a week, because if you're a nerd like me, like even in one day, you can change your point of view. So that means I can go and change my angles or my content in my website or the way I speak. I actually, you know what happened today? I got a Facebook notification about a memory, right? You know, it's your past comes creeping with the Facebook memories. And what I read made me do like this, like, oh, I wrote it. Sometimes I read something of 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and I'm like, oh, you were wise 15 years ago. And sometimes I'm like, oh, we have so much evolved from that, thank God. So it's like, like, again, coming back to the raw self, like, if I think that getting there is a destination, and not the joy of walking your path and discovering whatever your path comes, brings and then you are deciding. Are you deciding or are you living? And by living, you get more experience. And by getting more experience, you expand your thinking, you expand your point of view. When you travel, like you're all travelers, doesn't it expand your everything?
Absolutely.
Is that giving you permission to travel? Or is that you living your life and being like, oh my God, I hadn't tried this sort of food, or I didn't know that they burp here, and that's great. And if I don't burp, that's not good education. It's like, wow, in my country, if I burp after eating, that's like a sign of not being well educated. Like those things, like, oh my God, I'm getting to see life, I'm getting to see the world, I'm getting to see other perspectives. Like, ooh, does that require permission? Mm-mm.
Right. And I mean, what's coming to me is it's kind of a version of how we see the world, right? Do we
Exactly.
see the world with the gates closed and we have to like push against them to get through, and we have to get through that one to get through the next one? Or like Alicia said about the Akashic Records and the field, was it open all along in a different way than
Exactly.
she ever
Because
imagined?
she knows we're creating. She said it. She knows that we're always creating our life, and we can create anytime and pivot anytime.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
something that you said before that got into my head, wouldn't it be great? You love invitations. Wouldn't it be great to invite your listeners to be like, is there a place where you are not allowing yourself to leave because you think you require permission?
Great question. And it's an interesting question. Like even when I self-reflect, and I think that that's where safety and compassion comes in, is because it's like, oh, that was a great question, because it allows me to see, like, it's an interesting question because I can see how are you rooted in, is that a question rooted in separation or in unity? And we're moving from one, if we can say one paradigm to the other, but we show ourselves the way. We show ourselves the, like, through what we say. And if we can be like, okay, there's the mirror, and I have beautiful compassion for that mirror, we can learn so much through it. How about you, Dr. Melanie? Anything coming to mind with that conversation?
Yeah, and I just see it as the difference between exploding, meaning expand, we're expansive beings, or most of us are, or imploding. If you're allowing yourself to grow, if you're curious about growing and you're not too attached about what you created, what your thoughts are at this given time, then you can, really expand and explode in the best possible way. And on the other hand, if you're imploding, you're keeping yourself small. You're becoming, really stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. I read just this morning in a woman I follow, her name's Lauren Gorgo. I like to give the source for that, but she had written, embodiment is not a passive process. And how does that land on you? Do you feel that that's true? Because I think that we talk a lot, I think in 2025, it was almost like the year of rest and the restoration but we talk about too a lot of aligned action and inspired. And is it an ebb and a flow? And is that, I think that there's some truth to that, that embodiment is an active process, if I change the language of it, and what is necessary of us to be in the active, alive phases of our life.
I love that because, yes, you made me think of when I didn't believe in myself and I would do it anyway because of whatever reason. Maybe because I was too focused on paying my rent and not being homeless. That I was like, oh my God, can I do that? I don't know, but let's try. Let's do. And I would be like, yeah, it was active. I didn't know what I was doing, and yet I was doing it. And by
Yeah.
doing it is the thing that made me actually embody it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By embodying the non doubt. I don't know, it's kind of weird what I'm saying, but does it
Yeah.
make sense to any of you?
Yeah. It makes
Okay,
sense to
good.
me,
Okay,
Alicia.
good.
I was just going to go back to something that Mal has shared before as well, but lived experience. If we're not living, if we're not experiencing, we're not growing, we're stagnating. And as Melanie said, we're imploding, as it were. And that's the whole point of being here, right?
Yeah.
We didn't come all the way and take everything it takes for us to actually be here in a physical form if it wasn't to grow and evolve. And so it's those times when we are nervous. I'm not saying like to, chuck away your fear, your signals that something isn't safe or, wise, but to do the things that make us a little bit nervous or that we haven't done before, but we know that there's a first time for everything. And that's where the growth is. That's where the fresh perspectives come in, and the feedback, whatever it is, whether it turns out beautifully, marvelously, or it's a piece of crap, whatever it is, it's feedback. It gives us data. We go, oh yeah, I want more of that, or oh no, or I do it this way differently next time. And that's us growing. So,
or just experience, right? Because I remember the first times I did something that now I'm master at, it was crappy. But now it's like, how do you do it so good and so fast? It's like, yeah, well, my 10,000 hour flights, or like my 30,000 hour flight hours. It's just experience, and confidence comes from there too.
Yeah.
And mastering. Anything.
I wish that we could have the same perspective on ourselves that we do when we see a baby learning to crawl or walk, or when they fall down, we go, oh, if they didn't fall down, they wouldn't ever figure out how to stand up or how to balance, right? So it's all part of the process. And I wish we could have that same kind of joy and wonder, like, I'll never do that again, but I made it there. But yeah, I just think there's a lot, I think, that holds us back around judgments and labels that we have about this is good, this is bad, this is wrong, this is right. And it's like, what if it's not that, it's right for me, it's wrong for me. So we can have those. But what if we let go of the idea that it's wrong or right, and just, this is not aligned with what I prefer, and this is more aligned, or this is exactly what I prefer. And I think it's the idea of being wrong or right and having a test and something to pass has created a lot of distortion about, did you make the mark? Are you approved? Are you now checked off, you can belong, or you have to go back and start again? It's like we're all starting again in some area of our lives.
Right.
Something is changing somewhere.
I have that. I don't have the other thing. I have the thing that if I fall, I'm like, ooh, let me keep going. Let me keep going again and again and again and again until I master the thing that I'm curious about, or that I want to do it. I don't judge my fall. I just know that is going to get me to the mastery.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That might be one of the reasons I love you.
Well,
it's so inspiring.
If imagine that you tell a baby, like, oh, you fell, you're never going to walk again.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're never doing that, right?
No, and it reminds me of just the recreating that we're doing. And some people started the process earlier in their life. Some people get into their 50s, let's say, or even 60s and beyond, and they are desiring that recreating of what that early experience was. And I was reflecting on, I have a solo episode tomorrow, and about how early we are graded. We are graded and we are evaluated even from the first steps, right? When did she say her first word? When did she take that first step? And you go to preschool, and then the way that the grading happens, that it starts so early that we're being evaluated, that I think, to me, it's no surprise that it takes us, like, it's like, what happened? It takes decades to be like, what happened? And then to reclaim what's here for us and do it our way.
I have a story for that. I have a story for that. If you want to hear it, it's funny.
Yes.
My sister, my older sister, she was, like, the best in school, and she would get A's and A pluses and all those
Yeah.
honorary things. So my mom was one day, she was like, why do you get an 8.7 or something? It was a 9. It was something ridiculous. Like if the top grade was 10 and she got a 9.1 or something. And she was like, you're so intelligent. This is not enough. Da, 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 da. And I was like confused. Like, why is she yelling at my sister? Like, it's just a 9. So I ran, like, I don't know. I was young. So I ran up to my room and grabbed my math notebook. And I was like, Mom, why are you yelling at her? Like, if you want to yell at someone, yell at me. Like, look, 0 and 3. 2.
Yes. Yes.
I was like, I deserve the yelling, not her.
Yeah, that is so good. You're right.
God.
Alicia, you were saying everything's feedback, everything's data, everything's information. We fall, the falling down to get back up. And I think one thing that's coming through for me is a theme for today is the allowance, not the permission, but the allowance for new experiences and the redefining and the refining of what we knew, the creation, the recreation, whatever it is. But is that whether it's through travel or joining with women in a new way or joining a safe group for ourselves, whatever it is that we learn through giving ourselves these new experiences. And we can stay safe and we can stay in our cocoon, or we can go out and explore. And to me, in the exploration is the expansion. So Melanie Falvey, I don't know.
Absolutely. And if we didn't fail or make mistakes, we would not be able to do the work we do. Because anything we do, or at least I know, because I know what you all do, we are able to help our clients because we know the failures, we know where they're going to get stuck, we know their thought process, we know where they're going to, whatever they're going to find hard or not. It's all in the failures. I don't have a problem with making mistakes or failing, or maybe it comes from being a live streamer. If the video is a mess, just delete it. And if not, it's just there. We're human, we're not perfect. And it's the only way to grow. And it's the fun way to grow, because when you look back, you can laugh at all the silly, stupid mistakes you made. And that's it. It's part of living, part of life.
Yes, right. That was distorted for us when we were young, and having an honest conversation about it. Yeah. And I see life is teaching us. We go with something that came to us as a vision or a dream or something that we wanted to experience. And when we allow, again, that allowance of going down a new path, it becomes our teacher. I feel like all of life is the teacher. And even where I am with Mystical Sisterhood, I mean, I could have never dreamt, if I'm almost at 3.5 years of producing the podcast, I could have never dreamt that I'd be sitting here with the three of you today. And that was all because of a willingness and an allowance. But it was also, I believe, opening myself up to newness in life. And that goes to a little bit about being broken open. I think I set the stage before being broken open with physical things that were coming through my body. But, I think Mel Ramone, you said, like, everything in our lives it's a gift. It's here to teach us. It's showing us the way. And, and I'm holding it all with a lot of reverence these days. But I could have never known that I'd be sitting here with the three of you. Mel, what's coming?
I think life is showing us, and we're picking up the pieces that we want. Life is not teaching us, but we are learning from life. I do believe that. Yeah. And I also believe that our empire is in our path, in a specific path that we, like, everything that we lived through, everything that we experienced, wounds included, distortions included, hurricanes and storms and all that shit, it's part of what makes us gazillions of money, or just what is amazing about us in our flawsomeness.
Yeah, I love that. I'm having a memory last week when I went to Germany. We ended up at a place in the Bavarian Alps, and as the universe would have it, they were hosting what was called a slow festival. And there were two Buddhist monks there. And I looked at my daughter and I said, you know, this is no accident that we're here. But then this weekend when I got home, I had a memory of, it was the young man I dated in high school, that his mother would meditate with a group of women. And this was when I was 16. You know, I didn't have any knowledge of this world. My parents didn't meditate. They didn't, you know, they were very traditional. But I had this memory come to me of this woman. And I remember entering that house, and she would be with women in this attic space in the meditation. And somehow I knew in that moment, when the memory came back to me, that that was important for something on my path, that I was shown that so early on. And it seems like these little things can be inconsequential. Oh, that was just what it was, but that they're truly remarkable on the path. And that's fascinating to me. And I don't know why the monks were there last week, but there's something for that there for me. And I like, for me, it's when I'm around women and teachers and, you know, my collaborators, my co-creators, I learn all the time about, oh, okay, you use that language, like Mel, how you just said, like, I don't see life as my teacher. It's my way shower. It shows me the way. And I think some ways it's just like, it softens things. And that's just, I don't know, for me, I'm just always learning. I'm just always taking in, like, oh, the words matter, the phrase things, the way I, you know, and so I'm always learning through the people that are in my inner circle. You too. You know, and I think that in terms of Alicia, you come to mind a lot for me, because I know that you're doing, you know, your growth by collaborating and co-creating with others, and then the trueness of who you are and turning to nature and being one with nature. And I wanted to just bring that in the importance of that connection and what that is to you, because I think that in a world full of technology and, you know, sitting at my desk with my computer and that, like, why is it so important? Because I think it's Mystical Sisterhood to me is bringing a lot of ancient technologies online in combination with what's here for us today. But what about nature, and why is that so important for all of us right now?
Oh, I got a little bit emotional just thinking about it as you asked the question. For me, it is, we're not apart from nature. We're not separate from nature. We are a part of nature. And when we are in what we call nature, like the woods, the trees, the mountains, the lake, the ocean, for me, it's we're remembering our true nature, you know, that we are in connection with creation. And there is a communication that's happening, no matter whether we call ourselves a tree hugger or not. There is just the air, the ground that we walk on. There is interchange and interplay moving through our physical body and through our etheric field. And yesterday I was sitting on my deck, I had a group call, and it was a group meditation. And suddenly I wasn't imagining it, because now I've done this for so long, I know when I'm imagining and when I'm not, that I have pine trees behind my house. And suddenly I felt the pine trees, they're huge, they're 80, 100 feet tall. Just, I could feel them saying, can we join? I said, yes, please. And I could feel their energy and their presence. And it was, for me, it takes me out of my little, you know, this little bit that I can see through these physical eyes, or what I can feel through my field. And it helps me expand it just helps me expand. Yeah. And I think that's something that's really helpful for when we're wanting to explore, experience life, inviting new opportunities. To be in that more of an expansive state really helps me. So that's what she does for me. Yeah. I don't think I'm saying anything that none of you have felt, right?
Yeah. And I hear a deep communication with what surrounds you, really. And the more in tune you've become, and where life has led you, living where you're living now, and having access to, I think, more forest, more the water, the lakes, even though it's not where you imagined you'd be, it's also perfect in many ways. Yeah. And it's that balance of, obviously we are all, you know, pouring a lot of energy into the work we're here to bring to the world. But, you know, Mel Ramone, you know, what are your ways that you take a step out and take that time for the recalibration and the recharging. I think that's important to note, and we all do it in different ways.
I think it depends. I listen to my body a lot. So sometimes it's just like right now, I don't know where my phone is because I just don't need it. So I don't have this, I need to do this, I need to answer that, I need to pay attention to that. Like so that fact is already like, it discharges me, which was not there when I was in the wedding and event industry. I was always on, always in alert. Even when I was sleeping, I was like opening my eyes constantly, like remembering the color that the bride wanted and bride two and da, 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 da. I was always on alert. And so I had to learn how to switch that off. And that per se is my recalibration. Because sometimes, and you're going to laugh, sometimes my recalibration is doing stuff. I thrive on researching. I thrive on investigating something that I'm curious about. That gives me life.
Okay.
So that's kind of resting from the normal days, and it just plunges me. And sometimes I just need to sleep, or sometimes I need a bath. Or like this weekend, we went on a bike ride through the woods because Alicia is always inspiring me on that. Like, oh, she talks about her walks in the woods like with such enthusiasm. I'm like, I want that. Like, I want to try that. So sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's just going to the gelato store and getting a gelato or chocolate or like I allow myself to just do whatever I feel like at that moment if I don't have anything like appointments and stuff. But again, that is also one of the things that I changed through my life. Like before, my agenda was so busy that I was like resting was like, wow, you're resting. And now it's like I get to decide because my agenda is so with like appointments so little that I'm like, I can sleep right now if I want. Like, this is not urgent. I have a team. They can take care of those things. Like, so again, switching that off, I think it's my regulation, my life regulator. Yeah.
Well, and it's a great counterpart because it's also going with your flow, going with your flow. And I hear in it, and I don't know about the other two reflection, but it's just your nervous system is in a different place than it was 5-10 years ago. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And that's a deep commitment to self. Melanie Falvey, I don't know if you have anything that you want to add to this in terms of just like how you are with it all.
I think I do a bit of both. And whenever I am in nature, I always think of Alicia. It's that I mean, I see a tree and I'm thinking about her. That's how much you connect to nature. I think I do a million things. Okay, that doesn't sound like regulation. I mean, like different things. I listen to my body, just what Mel Ramone was saying. I think we both come from the wedding industry. That's the most unregulated, dysregulated industry out there. And I knew that was not sustainable. I didn't see myself doing that. It was so unhealthy that when I built my next business, I knew my business would have to work within my lifestyle. My lifestyle goes first and then whatever. And it really depends. Sometimes it is sitting in nature or just I need beauty around me that really regulates me. And it could be, being in nature, seeing beautiful flowers, listening to the birds, but it could be dancing or listening to music or creating jewelry. Or obviously I do have the toolkit. I know what to do if I'm not feeling regulated, so I can just, tap into that very easily. But it's not often that I'm not regulated because I can anticipate what's coming. And obviously I don't get to that state, which feels amazing because it's not always been like that. And sometimes even if you know the tools, life just, messes up with all your toolkit. But, having the tools really helps. And I love that because we're so curious and multidimensional. All of us, we all have different tools, you know. So one day
Absolutely.
it could be nature, but other days it could be, you know, just, I don't know, looking at
Yeah.
beautiful things or magazines, or it depends on the day.
Yeah. And, you know, I think it's a conversation for another recording, but I think that what I'm hearing you all say is that the relaxation and going, you know, having almost like a collapsed schedule of the hours in which we do our work, it allows us for a lot of these recalibration and the nourishment we really need. And I was going to say the other conversation is the old way of doing that netted our prosperity can be done in a much different way now with a collapsed, you know, maybe not the hours we're putting in, but it can just look a lot different and feel a lot different. And I think that this is the path of our evolution too. Mel, what came to you? Yeah.
Well, what you just said, I linked to everything that we were saying today, because allowing yourself to change the way you architect your life
Mm-hmm.
is also the raw you coming online. Like, Mel, you know this. You said it. Wedding planning and event planning is on the top 10 most stressful jobs. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how alert you are. In my
Mm-hmm.
case, I think Dr. Mel also, I built my business through first through survival. I didn't want to lose my apartment, which I had already tasted losing it, so I didn't want to do it again. And then the second part of my building my business, which then thrived like to many figures, it was through grief. So right now I could not build anymore through that because I am not in that state. It wouldn't not make sense. So allowing yourself to be like, well, yeah, that used to work, but now I'm not compatible to that. And
Mm-hmm.
I get to change that, and I get to build on top of what I built. I don't need to destroy what I already built, but on top of that, with this new way of living, which is, it is a new way of living with that same you, evolved thinking, critical thinking, evolution in your head, points of view, more lived experience. And it's like, no, I don't want that shit anymore in my life.
Wow. Yes. It's such an elevated, to me, conversation. And we've got very many ways to talk about it and share. And I feel, I mean, even when I think about my mother's generation, about what was there in order for them to explore, or the really, I don't even want to say safe spaces, expansive spaces to really just kind of delve into all the little nooks and crannies about all these conversations, because all of these conversations can go in a million offshoots. And I'm just so grateful to be with you all, to go down those kind of like hallways and just explore. So I'll say that a big thank you for today. You know, I always like to end with kind of going around the room in this case about, oh, we're mid-year 2026. I was thinking too, like 4 months into the year of the fire horse. And if there were a message that you were to leave for the listener to kind of have them ponder or take with them as like I don't want to say, well, maybe I do want to say like a parting wisdom. I want to see what's coming through you. And it can be just anything on the fly. It does not curated, not, but what, you know, what would, if you were on the other side of the microphone or the listening, you know, what would be beneficial for you to hear? So Alicia, I'll begin with you.
I would like to say it's never too late. If there's something that you heard today or has remembered, sparked an idea, or there's something that you put aside because you thought it wasn't safe, or you weren't ready, or you were too scared, it's like, just bring that out. Look at, what if I did start? What if I did begin? And what would the first step be? And it's not too late. In fact, there's so much energy right now for us to really move into this new way of being, not new way of being, expanded way of being. And so it's not too late. The time is now.
Yeah, gorgeous. Thank you. Yes. Dr. Melanie, how about you?
Well, I think we're about to see a world we've never seen, and it's a great opportunity to live, I don't want to say with no rules, but we can start breaking our own rules, the ones we've lived through because of society, culture, education, and start creating the life we really want to create, knowing that we can set the rules from the beginning.
Beautiful. Thank you. Mel Ramone, what would you like to add?
Well, I would like to connect to the word of my intention to this talk, which was presence. And presence for me is also to feel my body. And I've learned to listen to my body so much so that because it's always talking to me, it's always guiding me to what I don't want anymore, to what I want and then desire. So I would invite everybody to start paying more attention to their body, because part of being the raw you is that, like, if it feels icky, if you go to a course and they tell you to do cold calls and you're like, oh yeah, but it doesn't feel good to me, then trust that signal, and trust that there is a way for you to have the same result that belongs to you, that feels good in your body, that feels, oh yeah, I'm going to do it this way because this is my business and it's my rules and I can do whatever I want. And I'm getting chills just because, it's not being rebel, it's just being you. And yeah, allowing yourself to be guided by your own body, which is very intelligent. It's your somatic intelligence. So, and that comes only from being present with you.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah.
And thank you, Maureen, because you are amazing. I adore you. And thank you for this, because this is amazing, just like you.
Oh my gosh. I live for this. And thank you for each of that little drop in the bucket wisdom that's so expansive and such an invitation. And gosh, when you were just finishing up, Mel, I feel like that is the theme for today: the authenticity, the raw you, all of you, and every listener here. I know it. I don't have to know you. I don't have to see what you're doing. I know that you're coming down this path, and I will include everybody's information here for you to reach out to explore more. And let's just be doing all of this together, because more joy, more expansion. And Alicia, I love how you said, I love how you say, this is what we're here for. And I recently wrote you a text, and I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was some revelation I was having. And you're like, yes, that is what we're here for. I think that's why we're here. And I love that was seeded today. Yeah. So wise. So wise. All right. Love everybody. Thank you. And thanks for the listener as always. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to this episode of Mystical Sisterhood. To learn more about my one-on-one coaching programs or join the Mystical Sisterhood membership, visit MaureenSpielman.com or MysticalSisterhood.com. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next episode.